Okay, this is our Lighten flywheel for the Speedster, and I wish I had taken some video while I was machining it, but here it is all done. So the idea here was to take a bunch of weight out of it and reduce the inertia of the thing. We're trying to make something that's kind of fun to drive, and we're hooking the Model A transmission to the back of the T transmission. So we actually are going to have non-synchronized gears that are going to have to deal with the clutch of the T clutch, so it's going to be a pretty crazy setup. But also, you know, we don't want this huge amount of inertia. We want this thing to be kind of fun to drive. So this just fit into my little Inco 13x40 gap bed lathe with the bed removed, and just fit in there. And with the stock chuck on the lathe, could just grab this outside here, which was machined in the original part. Of course, all the magnets were removed at the time. We're starting to reassemble this now. You can see this was all cast surface here, has now been machined down. Most of the weight has actually been removed from the backside of the flywheel, where there was much more material back here, and there was a recess here that the ring gear ran on, and we're not going to run a ring gear. We're going to hand start this thing every time, and so I had no worries with reducing that there. Now the ring gear was the thing that held these screws in place. The ring gear was threaded, and you peened over the screws to keep them from backing out. You sure don't want this thing to come apart on you while you're driving it and make quite a mess. But we're going to have to come up with a different way. We're probably just going double nut or lock nut or do something. Mose will come up with something clever here to hold these in place. Now these are a pretty crazy thread. These are a 14, you know, like you have 8, 10, 12. These are 14s, which really aren't available anymore unless you get them from Snyder's or somewhere like that. And I'm not sure if we're going to find nuts for these. We're probably just going to have to put new quarter 20 brass screws in instead. But you can see how much material has been removed. I also removed the 3 posts that hold the planetary gears, and you can see we're just flush with the bolts there that hold on the magnets. And this used to be a real generous radius. This was all quite thick, and I removed all that material. Unfortunately, I don't know how much weight I took out of it. But so to machine this side of it, you just grab that OD that I showed on the other side with the chuck. To machine the side with the magnets, what I did is I put the transmission shaft through there, and it runs on those two. It's piloted, it's really nice and concentric, and then it runs on these pins. The thing is, it's not terribly stiff, and so with something this big around, when you're trying to remove material on this side, it does want to kind of sing and chatter and, you know, make a bunch of racket. So I didn't get real aggressive on this side. There wasn't a lot of material that you really could remove. You have to keep this surface here that these aluminum spools run on, so that you have your gap for your magnets set correct. So when you put it back together, you know, you want to make sure you have your magnets polarity correct. So the two legs, the two adjoining legs of two magnets have to have the same polarity. So you know, you want north, south, etc. You don't want to get them backwards, because even after you charge them, which we'll do that later, or we're going to charge this sucker that's absolutely dead. I mean, there's just no magnetism at all. But anyway, if you have the magnets backwards and you charge it, it's not going to keep the charge very long. At least that particular set anyway. So the planetaries, we removed them because we're actually not going to run the T transmission. But it's kind of hard in a Model T engine to not run the trans, you know, the oil pan and the hogshead and everything. It's also integral and all put together with the engine one piece. So we're going to run the transmission shaft, and we're going to use the clutch from the T. So we're going to keep that drum, and we're going to get rid of everything else, and which is the last drum. So we'll go through that. But you know, because I pushed out the pins and machined this surface all down, you know, this flywheel can't ever run the gears again. So you can't get this aggressive with this inner area if you want to keep running the stock trans, which I'm sure most people would want to. You know, maybe you just stop out here, and really all the inertia is here anyway, right? It goes with R squared. So you get a hell of a lot more benefit of taking some mass out here than you do in here. And then, of course, unfortunately, if you want to run your ring gear, then that limits you a little bit more as well, because there was a pilot here that kept that ring gear nice and concentric, and I got rid of all that material. So you can't get as aggressive, but you could come in right in here and just kind of whittle this away. It's not as bad as a Model A flywheel, which those babies are just absolutely massive. So that's it. I just wanted to get a video of it and show everybody what we came up with. Honestly, I didn't even look out there to see what other people are doing. It's just one of those things where just have fun with it and just kind of free ball it. And we'll go through the whole transmission setup and how we adapted the A to the T trans as we're putting it all together. We machined some pretty trick pieces for it, and had to do quite a few little modifications and things. Not too bad though, but it will be just like the car that we're trying to replicate. It was built in 1936. So it should be exciting. Hopefully it shifts. We're probably going to use those jackrabbit clutches that are supposed to make a Ruxstol shift nice. So we're kind of looking at this as sort of like a Ruxstol. So fingers crossed on that one.